Please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Owen. Here. Moran. Here. Raves.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Burke.
Here.
Heller. Sullivan.
Here. We are all here. And we'll start with 207's best. Dr. Howard.
Yes. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Tommy Kukat. Tommy, stand up, please. Tommy, stay standing. Tommy is Maine West nominee for 207's Best in the area of extracurricular achievement. Tommy has a 4.58 GPA, taking some pretty tough classes at Maine West, but also being a three-sport athlete. And not only is he a three-sport athlete, he is a two-time state qualifier in golf and has been on the winningest seasons ever in the history of Maine West, thanks to Tommy and his prowess on the golf course. He has also been, in the area of golf, all-area award winner, two-time captain, three-time all-conference winner, two-time most valuable player. Again, he qualified for state twice. We have not had state qualifiers previous to Tommy very often, and he did it 2 years in a row. His coach, Mr. Godleski, said, Tommy is also the current varsity club president and has been instrumental in our Powerpuff football game, taffy apple sales, clothing drives, and Maine West Carnival. He's involved both in and out of the sports arena and in and out of classrooms. As a basketball player for 4 years, he was also a captain during his senior year, qualified for state in the three-point shootout this year, and won all-area honorable mention. And his coach, Mr. McNeil, came in to see me, and went on and on and on and on and on and on and on about Tommy and how awesome he was, and talked about a coach from another school who came over to see him after a game, came over to see the coach after a game to say how awesome Tommy was. Not just for how he played, but for how he represented the entire team with his character and the way he played the game. And how he represents the entire CSL by the way he just carries himself as a leader from Maine West. And then finally in baseball, Tommy competed for 4 years and is captain of this year's team. And his coach, Mr. Peterson, also has glowing comments about Tommy and says he comes to play every day with a very positive influence on the rest of the players on the roster. He has been a great mentor for the younger players who have been brought up to the varsity team, and he's always willing to put forth the extra time in whatever he does, and is also one of the most intelligent kids I've ever coached. So talk about a well-rounded student with an awesome GPA and huge contributions to Maine West. We haven't had an athlete so well-rounded in a long time, and we're extremely proud of Tommy's successes at Maine West. So Tommy, congrats on 207 Best. With you tonight?
These are our parents, Phil and Margaret. And,
congrats, Mom and Dad. And what are your plans next year?
I'll be studying engineering at the University of Illinois with advanced next year.
Are you going to compete?
No.
Nice job, Tommy. Come on up to the front.
Tom, I'm a little hampered here for the handshake. I helped coach the golf team for 11 years after I retired, so my heart, you're dear to my heart with being that golf team. You guys have done a great job. Good luck to you.
Mr. Kressler.
Hi, everybody. Very pleased to introduce and tell you a little bit about our 207's Best from Maine East, Joe Turback. First thing that comes to mind when I think of Joe is going to be a big smile on his face and hi, how you doing today, and immediately reaching out for a handshake. I've known Joe. He's been a member of my principal's advisory group for the 3 years that I've been principal. And during that period of time have seen firsthand just a great ease and a great comfort in terms of sense of who he is, being very comfortable in his own skin. He's got a great way of being able to put people at ease, which several of his teachers have alluded to. Recognizing Joe, obviously, for extracurricular achievement, and he's been a 3-season athlete, I think, throughout his entire career. He's been a member of the football team, was a team captain this year, is also a member of our swim team, and our boys' water polo team, was also captain of the swim team. Mike Bender, our athletic director, is here tonight, and wrote a little bit about Joe. He said, as a member of the varsity football team, Joe not only served as the team captain, but also led the team in a variety of community service projects, including the first annual 5K run. The event raised money benefiting school-based health center, and in swimming and water polo, Joe's leadership ability earned him the distinction of team captain. He has an outstanding work ethic, and he's consistently one of the first people to arrive, practice, usually the last to leave, always striving to do better, improve both himself and the team. His swim and water polo coach, Pete Dakota, is here as well tonight. Pete talks about specifically as a great teacher, and he helps the younger water polo kids learn different things about the game. He's a great example for his peers. Works extremely hard to get better every day. He understands the success of the team is not measured in wins and losses, but the bonds and relationships created among the team. He's reliable, dependable, disciplined. It's a pleasure to work with him. So we know about what he's doing there. I also add in sort of co-curriculars. Joe's been really active as a 3-year student in German language. He's been involved in Project Lead the Way in our civil engineering and architecture, computer integrated manufacturing. He's been in autos, building trades, advanced building trades, and I believe is looking to pursue that avocation in terms of building trades. I do want to share the next little bit. He recently went on a humanity habitat outing in Michigan, and Tom Kaiser, our building trades instructor, shared a little bit here. Joe volunteered to be the first Maine East student to participate in Habitat for Humanity by joining forces with Oakton Community College's Habitat for Humanity chapter to go on an out-of-state build to help others. Traveled to Holland, Michigan, helped build a new house, renovate a kitchen, rehabbed a Habitat storage facility, most importantly, helped others in need. The day after returning from the build, we received a call from the sponsor of the OCC chapter, recounted how Joe had helped a special needs adult. The person who had been assigned to paint was struggling with the task. Joe went to him, showed him how to hold the brush, load it with paint, and then apply it to the wall. After the demo, Joe took the man's hand and helped him through the process. Joe then stood back, watched the man apply paint himself. Joe gave him words of praise, a warm smile. The man was able to successfully complete the task. Joe's willingness to give up his time and warm smile, Joe's willingness to give up his time and take skills outside of Maine East helped shore up a future partnership with our department, with Oakton. And again, I think just shows some really, really strong interpersonal skills. One of our teachers in a letter basically paraphrased a Levi's commercial and said, Joe is a genuine article. Everything he does is just a great representation of Maine East, what we're proud of, what we stand for, and I'm sure Joe is going to do well as he goes on. We wish him all the best. We're proud of you, Joe. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Who's here with you tonight?
I have my mom, Rita, Mr. Bender, our athletic director, Coach Corey, and Coach Dakota.
Very good. And what are your plans next year?
I'll be going to Oakton for 2 years, and then I'll most likely be transferring to Southern Illinois.
Very good. Come on.
Great pleasure that I present Kelly McComb as Maine South's 207's Best for Extracurricular. Kelly is an outstanding student at Maine South. We could easily be honoring her here tonight for her academic success, but she is a major standout in so many different areas of our building. I'll read a quick list of the things that Kelly is involved in. Varsity Club, Irish Club, Spanish Club, Hawk Pride Leader, Athletic Council, Thespian Honor Society, and our orchestra. She had a lead role in Legally Blonde over the last 2 weekends. She's a South Stars leadership class teacher. She's the treasurer of class council, the captain of the girls' golf team, we have a little golf theme going on, and a vice president of the National Honor Society. She's attended the National Student Leadership Conference, where she was named best lawyer, or best attorney, and she was a JKV Leadership Branch finalist. And when she has some extra time in her hands, she also teaches both students with and without disabilities at Picturesque Different Dance Studio. So she's out there, as well as volunteers for Compassion and for a few of the fundraisers for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. So as you can imagine, we have some great quotes from teachers that I'd like to read. Mr. Hammond, who's also her golf coach and has been a math teacher, I've come to realize that Kelly has a work ethic and drive that does not compare to anyone. When it comes to how hard she has worked on her golf game, how hard she works in school, and how hard she works on her other activities, she's in a league of her own. Ms. Rizzi also notes another math teacher and golf coach. I've seen Kelly overcome obstacles and attain success, and I have seen her do so with grace and dignity. She has matured into a person who I'm certain will be successful in whatever path she chooses to take, not because her path will be an easy one, but because she has the character that will enable her to succeed. One of the things that I'm most proud of with Kelly is that for all of her involvement, she's a role model for other students. We've been blessed by her involvement in so many things that ensures that her empathy for others, her work ethic, and positive attitudes have been exposed to a large number of other students. And Kelly is someone others can and do look up to. The way she carries herself and the way she represents Maine South is something of which to be proud, and something that makes Maine South and her peers better for having known Kelly in her 4 years at Maine South. So, congratulations, Kelly. Who's with you tonight, and what are your plans for next year?
I have my grandma and my mom here, and next year I'm going to revise some economics, because I want to be a lawyer, so I'm in business law. That's right now, so.
Excellent.
To all three of you, the board congratulates you for being elected as 207 back. Kelly, Joseph, and Thomas, if you'll step into the hallway with your principals and follow Mr. Beery, who's got his hand up over there. There you go. He's going to take your pictures. Now, our public meeting continues. You are welcome to stay for the public meeting, but if you're thinking about leaving, now is the ideal time to leave. Okay, we're going to move on to public comments. The first person speaking this evening is Mr. Steve Platt, 150 North Michigan, Chicago. Mr. Platt, you have 3 minutes.
Members of the board, I'm here representing the Hawkettes parents. I have a show of hands of all people that are associated with the Hawkettes, please. The Hawkettes want you to reconsider what was decided with the plan of the last meeting. We're talking about Jackie Green, the coach. There's 3 reasons why we think that the coach should not be required to give up the association with the studio or require her not to be coaching the team. Number 1, being a member of the studio is not a requirement of the Hawkettes. There are lots of people who are members of the team that do not have any classes with the Hawkettes studio. Number 2, some of the students choose to take dance classes there or choose to go to the Hawkettes studio because that's a convenient place for them to go. It's in the neighborhood. The parents are concerned about the timing and where to go in terms of the school activities after school and that kind of thing. Number 3, the policy that we've applied to Ms. Green is as an employee, and she's not really an employee. I've given you an explanation of that in my letter, and I think that my letter of March 4th was shared with some of you, some of the new board members have perhaps not seen it. I've gone into detail why we think she's not an employee. But frankly, there's a test under the Illinois Common Law and under the Illinois Illinois Labor Act, which explains when a person is an employee. She's given a stipend, and frankly, if she was treated as an employee, then based on the number of hours she works, should be being paid at 50 cents an hour, which would present another series of problems. So we ask that you reconsider what you did at the last meeting and consider that you allow the students to be allowed to take classes at the Dance Studio 22 and still be members of the Hawkettes dance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Laura Austriaco, concerning Maine South Hawkettes. Address, please.
Sure. 17 North Aldine, Partridge, Illinois. Good evening, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here today. I stand here before you as president of the Maine South Hawkette Booster Board, and I'm also here as a parent to my daughters, as well as all the other Hawkette family members and Hawkette students who are here today. We are asking this board to allow a revision in their board rules, which actually restricts our daughters to train or take classes at Studio 22, which is a studio that is actually owned by varsity coach Jackie Crane, for several reasons. Number one, I know there's an issue with regards to if you open it up, that there is an issue with regards to those that have the money could send their kids and those who don't have the money cannot send their kids. Well, I want to correct that perception, that misperception, because before we realized that there was this rule with the district, this has been going on for 3 years. We had the track record, and in those 3 years that we were actually having our girls go to the studio, there was never any issue with regards to the has-not and those who have not and those who have. And the reason for that is there are students who went to the studio in those 3 years that did not make the Hawkette program. And there are also students who actually who did not go to the studio, but actually made the Hawkette program and actually have leadership positions right now. So that misperception out there, I just want to clarify, it's non-existent, it does not exist, and it's going to continue that it will not exist. The second part is, as parents, we should have the freedom to send our girls wherever we want to. I think where we are right now with our Hawkette team, they're national champions, they have been state champions, they've won the Community Service Award, they've done everything in terms of for the community, and they've done really well. This is more a question of choice, and it is voluntary. There is no mandate that they actually go to the studio. We want, as parents and as Hawkette girls, we want to go to the studio wherever we can go. 3, professional training. There are no other studios around this area that actually offer the same type of dance technique, skill development as Studio 22. As a matter of fact, not only Jackie is a professional dancer, but there are highly trained staff who are employed at Studio 22 who are known locally and internationally and who are current or professionally highly trained dancers. These instructors are highly sought. As a matter of fact, many Glenbrook South varsity dancers and Loyola varsity dancers have been going to the studio precisely for the same reason as our Hawkette girls go to the studio, for the expertise, for the skill level that you will not find in any other studio around Park Ridge. You know, I'm not even sure if I can tell you that the closest is downtown, because that's a completely different school. Hubbard Street Dance, which is where Jackie went to, is a completely different type of training.
Can you give us a sentence to wrap up, please?
Sure. There are other jurisdictions also that allow for this one, and I'm sure Dr. Wallace has shared that with you. So in conclusion, we're not asking for the world. What we are simply asking is to stay true to the mission, to your mission as educators. Look after the health, welfare, and well-being of our students. The studio is a safe haven for our kids. They go there to study, they go there to take their lessons, they go there to associate with other girls, and it's a great bonding relationship for them. So we are asking for the board to revise, take a look at the rules again, revise the rules. There's a lot more at stake for the Maine South Hawkeye. Thank you.
Barb Stuzik.
Members of the Maine Township Board of Education.
Wait a second, Barb. 420 Radcliffe Displays.
Yeah.
3 minutes.
Members of the Maine Township Board of Education and other members of the Maine Township Administration, I'd like to thank you for this chance to speak. My name is Bart Shevchak, and I am the newly elected Maine West Student Council President for the 2013-2014 school year. Throughout my high school career, I have been very involved in student government, which has given me the privilege of working closely with Vice Principal for Students, Mr. Barron. In the 3 years that I have been able to work with Mr. Barron to plan the amazingly spirited assemblies at Maine West and the widely successful fundraisers, I have noticed how hard he works to put everything together. It takes a special person to be so dedicated to a school and its student body, which brings me to fully believe that removing Mr. Barron would take away an irreplaceable piece of Maine West. When starting high school their freshman year, each Maine West student was greeted by Mr. Barron at the freshman assembly. At the start of each spirit assembly, the entire Maine West student body, the entire Maine West family is greeted by Mr. Barron. Each morning, the entire Maine West family is greeted by Mr. Barron's special way of saying, "Good morning, Maine West," on the daily morning announcements. These things only provide a small glimpse into why Mr. Barron has a special place at Maine West and in the lives of every member of the Maine West family. Over the past few years, the Maine West family has been forced to deal with many tragic and unfair hardships, but we all help one another get through those tough times because that is what a family does. As the newly elected Student Council President, I can with full confidence say that I speak for every member of the Maine West family when I say that it is unreasonable and detestable for the Maine Township Board of Education to take away the father figure of the Maine West family. We all urge you to reconsider the reassignment of Mr. Barron to Maine South High School. Thank you.
Manny Schultz. Hi. 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Mandy Schultz, and I'm a current sophomore here at Maine West, and I'd like to address the assistant principal swap between West and South. I'm involved in student council and class council. I'm a cheerleader leader at Maine West and a member of Warrior Pride and the School Life Fundraising Committee. Last year when I started at Maine West as a freshman, I was amazed at the spirit that surrounds the school, and over time I discovered exactly where all the spirit originated from, and that's Mr. Barron. Since I'm a Maine West cheerleader, I was in attendance at every football game and basketball game. It was so awesome to see that even though our team didn't have the greatest record, but the student body always came together in such high spirits, and Mr. Barron was a large part of that. He always attended every sporting event. When you pass him in the hallways, he always addresses you by name and checks in on how things are going and asks you if you have any big meets, competitions, or games coming up. He always says, "I'll see you there." Sure enough, he always showed up. There's no doubt that Mr. Barron loves his job and everyone at Maine West. Through all the ups and downs that we've gone through at our school these past few years that I've been here, Mr. Barron never fails to help pick up the pieces and bring Maine West back to the perfect high school, and Warrior family and the student body and the staff has grown to love. And we really are a Maine West family, and taking Mr. Barron would be a part that can never be fixed or replaced. Thank you.
Natalie Schultz, also of 783 Meadow Drive, Des Plaines.
Hi, everybody. My name is Natalie Schultz, and I'm currently the Student Council President at Maine West. And I would like to address the issue of the assistant principal swap between West and South. Sorry. I speak on behalf of not only all the students who are here today from Maine West, but the student body as a whole, by saying that losing Mr. Barrett would be a devastating loss to the Maine West family. He has the spirit, the drive, and the compassion that every Maine West Warrior strives to have, and he's a great example for every single one of us. Our assemblies are legendary. We have people coming back every year just to see our assemblies, and it's all because of Mr. Barrett. He puts in hours and hours of hard work, and he just wants to make sure everything goes perfectly. Everything's very student-oriented with him. He makes sure that he plans with all the class council officers. He has student performances in all the assemblies. Everything is student-oriented with him. He wants to make sure that the students are happy with everything that's going on and that they're always involved and happy with everything. I don't know any other assistant principal that would whip out a cartwheel in the middle of the stage. A new hit band from Australia. And I don't know another assistant principal that would let us throw a pie in his face to raise money for St. Jude's. And that's just another big point. He started the Maine West School Life fundraiser, and he gets all of Maine West to come together every year to raise tens of thousands of dollars for some really good cause. He personally helped me last year. I had a friend diagnosed with brain cancer, and he helped make an all-school fundraiser just to help one of my friends. And that's the second time he's done that. We've had 2 very successful brain cancer fundraisers. Not only does he helped us come together in all of our times of need. Throughout my 4 years at Maine West, we've had some pretty big tragedies and things that are really hard to get through, and Mr. Barrett brings us all together and makes sure everybody's there to help each other out. And I know what you're probably thinking, why would it not be okay to take somebody so great and put him in another school just to make it even better? But taking him away is like taking away the father of a family. It would be really hard to get through, and it really would be a devastating loss. And I'm sure that Dr. Garlasco is an awesome assistant principal. I have no doubt about that. But that's just it. She's perfect for Maine South, and Mr. Barrett is perfect at Maine West. So why would you fix something that isn't broken? I'm maybe a senior, and I'm leaving and graduating in just a little less than a month, but I still care about this issue, and I think that's pretty important. We have a lot of seniors that feel very strongly about this, and it would be really hard to come back to school next year to visit and not see Mr. Barrett in his office and say, "Good morning." But all in all, you can tell when somebody really loves their job, and Mr. Barrett is one of those people. He cares about the safety, the happiness, and the well-being of everybody in Maine West, student or faculty, and living with Maine West is a totally different place. Thank you for hearing what I have to say.
Thank you. Jill Murray, 509 East Lincoln, Des Plaines.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jill Murray, but I'm going to be speaking on behalf of Dan Cardamone, another student at Maine West, who is unable to make it tonight. And he would just like to say this. I've known Mr. Barrett since I was a freshman, but my personal relationship with him began a little over a year ago, during my junior year. I came up with the idea to honor veterans and support members of our military at football games during the next season. However, it was just an idea, and I wasn't sure who I should see to make it become a reality. I decided to go to the man whose voice greets me every morning over the PA, the man whose spirit electrifies the crowd at every single assembly. I walked into his office, his door wide open as it always is, formally introduced myself, and told him what I wanted to do. Mr. Barrett stopped what he was doing, looked up, and said, "Dan, that is a wonderful idea." Over the next several months, Mr. Barrett and I met, planned, organized the event. I could tell that Mr. Barrett was taking me seriously, and this event became as important to him as it was to me. The night was a huge success. We honored over 40 veterans in our community from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, and Iraq, as well as gathering goods for the USO. I know that this event would not have been possible without Mr. Barrett, not only because of the time he invested, but also because I'm not confident that I would have felt comfortable working so closely with anyone else. This is what Mr. Barrett brings to the table at Maine West. A person the students know, trust, and one who is willing to give each student the attention that they deserve. Anybody who has been to a spirit assembly at Maine West will leave with 2 things. 1, some sort of hearing loss, and 2, the knowledge that Maine West is the most spirited school in the country. We owe this all to Mr. Barrett. He prepares the assembly, excites the crowd, and motivates the kids. The thousands of dollars raised every year for various charities can attest to just how much the students respond to his leadership. These are the roots Mr. Barrett has established at Maine West. This is what makes him such a needed member of the Warrior family. Taking away Mr. Barrett is like taking the West out of Maine West. It is what identifies us and sets us apart from the rest and makes it special. In many ways, Mr. Barrett is the real Maine West. Thank you.
773 East Forest Avenue, Des Plaines.
Hi, my name is Conrad, and I'm speaking on behalf of the entire student class, for the entire students of Maine West. And the first thing I would just like to say is, Mr. Barron can put a smile on everyone's face, or anyone's, no matter what kind of situation you're going through, however you're feeling, every day, whether I'm tired or in midweek, I sit there, sometimes trying to sleep before my fifth grade class for a couple minutes, and I hear, "Good morning, Maine West," and every time, me as well as my entire class smirks or smiles and starts giggling while they're saying the pledge. And it's just little things like that that make him so great for Maine West. He can, like, during the assemblies, everyone builds off of him, and he builds off of us. Without him, it's just, like, why would you do this to us? Because he's so important to all of us, and every day, he can put a smile on my face. And at the assemblies, he can just, he can make different things happen that you won't see it there before. Like bring a justice crew from out of the country, or bring a camel. So, not everyone is willing to go that extra mile to just make a couple of students happy. People, like Natalie said, people come out of their way just to go to our assemblies to be amazed at how great our assemblies are, thanks to Mr. Barrett. And I just feel like it would be a true tragedy for him to go and for that not to continue. Thank you.
Jason Henry, 548 Westford Avenue, Des Plaines.
Hi, I'd like to thank you all for being here. My name is Jason Henry, and I'm currently a Maine West High School senior. And last year was the year that I personally was able to get to know Mr. Barron. And I had the idea that just maybe I could form a club, and specifically a boxing club, as some of you know. And I had heard that before you start a club, there were guidelines to be met. The guidelines included acquiring X amount of signatures, creating a proper code of conduct, receiving Maine Township Board approval, and finding a representative or sponsor. And for those of you who don't know, every club, you have to have a representative or sponsor, and what this person does is they come to every single club meeting, they participate, and they take authority, and they are the leaders of the group. And that's really significant, and I'll get to that in 1 second. Before anything could be done, you had to present your idea to the vice principal. So I scheduled a meeting with Mr. Barron and eagerly told him that despite the fact that boxing was a contact sport, there would be challenges. I said I could pull it off. At that time, the only thing I didn't have was a representative. After expressing my frustration, realizing that maybe my idea may have been doomed from the start, I asked Mr. Barron if he knew any teachers of the staff that had boxed at any time in their lifetime would be willing to do this. He paused, looked up, smirked, and said, "You're looking at him." And so that was the beginning of my personal relationship with Mr. Barron. During the time period of working with Mr. Barron, I really learned some fundamental life skills. When Mr. Barron agreed to represent Boxing Club, he worked diligently by helping me create an acceptable policy. He acted as a leader by convincing others that Boxing Club was fundamental for Maine West. He moved swiftly by encouraging donations and grants so that we could begin boxing starting in the fall. He showed selflessness by donating so much time and asking for nothing in return. Most importantly, he taught me to never stop fighting for what I believe in. Against the odds, we formed Boxing Club and changed Maine West forever. I'm deeply concerned with the board's decision. Throughout my high school career, I was fortunate enough to experience a vast array of clubs, school spirit that was prominently displayed, and a strong leadership program that has helped so many individuals just like myself. Having a younger brother as an incoming freshman, I would be devastated to know that he couldn't experience the same great 4 years that I was able to enjoy so much. Whatever the reasoning is behind Mr. Barron being switched from Maine West to South cannot be justified. Before making a decision that will forever change the face of Maine West High School, I please ask you to consider the future of all Maine West students. If you take away Mr. Barron, you will be taking away the things that make Maine West great. you'll be taking away the reason why I want to go to school anymore. And yes, I've actually been enjoying my senior year. Mr. Barrett is everything that Maine West High School needs. He's a leader, he's a teacher, he's a scholar, he's a joy bringer, and he's a friend. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Michael Taylor, Maine Teachers Association.
I had a question for newly elected Representative Ms. Childers.
Yeah, but
Childers.
I'm not installed yet,
Okay.
but I'll answer any
All right,
question if I can.
the question is, during the campaign, as the president of the Maine Teachers Association, I had several members approach me wanting to ask the question, what are your plans for the referendum that you mentioned while you're campaigning, as well as plans for potential redistricting? And as I say, I'm a voice for others. We're trained that, so.
You don't have to, it's the opportunity for citizens to speak to us, and so there's not a requirement to answer this.
I'd be glad to discuss with you later then.
Okay, great, thank you.
Lucas Urbane, 508 John Lane, Strange.
Good evening, Dr. Ken Wallace, Maine West Principal, Dr. Roger Hagen, Maine South Principal, Sean Messner, and Maine East Principal, Michael Presley, and member of the school board. My name is Lucas Urbane, and I'm a junior at Maine West High School. Mr. Byrne has done a lot for me in the school. For example, in September of this year, I nominated the winning teacher for WDEN Teacher of the Month, Brett Sharkey, who is a special education teacher for my autistic brother, Eric Urbane, who is a sophomore at Maine West. Mr. Byrne answered the phone and worked behind the scenes with Dr. Hagen, WDEN and I to give Mr. Sharkey his award. Although my brother could not express his gratitude towards Mr. Barron, I know he is grateful for what he did to honor one of his favorite teachers. Another outstanding example is at the beginning of sophomore year, our class council sponsor suddenly resigned, and Mr. Barron stepped in to take her place, and he took the time to ask us questions about what we wanted in a class sponsor, and thus found us an amazing class sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, if Mr. Barron goes to Maine South, Maine West, and the city of Des Moines will lose an amazing administrator. Our high school and our city will never be the same. Thank you.
Okay, under communications, we move on to updates from board members and or superintendent. Comments from board members.
I have a comment. The Maine West musical, Beauty and the Beast. Actually, we had a little problem with the Friday night performance because of the flood and rain, but Donna and I joined Audrey at the program. It was absolutely amazing. I've seen more than my share of musicals. I think that I always look for a weak spot, and I usually find one somewhere. If it's not in the dancing, it's in the singing. If there's something, I couldn't find them. It was absolutely amazing. I'm not sure who else saw it, but Donna and I did, and it was one of the best I've ever seen.
Well, I think there's a driving rain and a storm that gets Belle to show up at the beach. So maybe a little overboard of the special effects.
There was one other thing that was going to be on Sunday. They had tea with Belle, and they had 200 little girls there. And Belle came down with her gold gown and sat down on the floor. And one of the little girls said, "Well, what kind of a car do you drive?" And she said, "I don't drive a car, I go in a carriage." So it was really a great weekend for Maine West.
Any other board members to make comments? Superintendent? Okay. Education committee meetings from April 1st and April 16th. Don?
Well, you have minutes from those meetings in the board packet. The April 1st meeting, I'll remind you, was when Principal Pressler from the East gave you an overview on the East planning initiatives. He was the last of three principals who had spotlights in each of their education committee meetings on those topics. And at the April 16th meeting, Ms. Pam Kazee presented on the special education services for 2013-14 and gave an overview of some of the things that have been worked for next year.
To respond to that, Dr. Conlon has offered to email his PowerPoint, so I will share it with him. Doesn't have that link. And that's, I'm delighted that we're making some dramatic changes, especially it's long overdue, and it sounds absolutely like it's going to be very successful, and I'm looking forward to it.
Any other comments on the education committee meeting? Finance committee meeting, Eric?
We had two finance committee meetings in the month of April. One was pre-election and one was post-election. It's kind of an important statement considering we have two retiring board members on the finance committee, and that affected our work on the second of two meetings. In the first meeting, we discussed modifying policy 8000, which is the kind of large wholesale policy on fiscal and business management, to include a framework for how tax abatements would be handled on an annual basis. That was discussed by the committee and was held until the second meeting, where we also discussed adding a framework for 3-year budget planning into that policy as well. Still on the first meeting, the last part of that was that the committee recommended driver education simulators being replaced, which was included in the meeting tonight. Going forward to the second meeting, again, after the election, we determined to table the matter of having a 3-year budget planning mechanism in place because there was a variety of opinions from several board members present, and that just made sense to allow the new finance committee as constructively after today's meeting to take up that issue. So that was tabled. We did recommend the technology budget as well as the school fees. There were also, I think, a couple of contracts. Athletic trainers, as well as
The AP firm too.
okay, yeah, so we had 2 contracts that we were to. So those items that I'll mention come with the recommendation of the members of the finance committee.
Any other comments on the finance committee? Okay, hearing none, we move on to the official canvass of the April 9th, 2013 Saturday election results. The first position up was a 2-year position. There was one candidate, Eric Scott Lays. There were 21,522 ballots cast. 14,075 were cast for Eric Lays. Is there a motion to approve the official certificate of election results in the 2-year race?
So moved.
Motion Keller, second McGrath. Questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, call the roll.
McGrath. Aye. Lays.
Aye.
Keller. Aye. Miller.
Aye.
Burke.
Aye.
Owen. Aye. Sullivan.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. The second race, which had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candidates, had a total of ballots cast. Good thing. See what it tells me. There's not the county plans to make this simple. Okay, total ballots cast is 21,522. This is for 4-year terms. I'm going to read them in the order that they appeared on the ballot. Jeffrey S. Spiro received 6,439 votes. Jim Lee received 7,051 votes. Ellen Burke received 6,225 votes. Mary Childers received 10,544 votes. Sean Story received 6,052 votes. Carla Owen received 7,975 votes. Mark McGrath received 10,029 votes. Electing Jim Lee, Mary Childers, Carla Owen, and Margaret McGrath for your terms on the 207 Board of Education. Is there a motion to approve the official certificate of election results? Miller? second Lays. Any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, call the roll.
McGrath. Aye. Lees.
Aye.
Miller. Heller. Burke. Owen. Sullivan.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Now, we would ask Adam Morgan not to leave, since we have some business after the meeting is organized. So we usually don't. But first order of business for the five of you would be to swear you in. So Mary, Eric, Jim, Margaret, and Carla, will you come up here? Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. That I will faithfully discharge. The duties of office. Member of the Board of Education. School, Main Township High School, District 207. In accordance with the Constitution of the United States.
In accordance with the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the State of Illinois.
The Constitution of the State of Illinois.
And the laws of the State of Illinois.
And the laws of the State of Illinois.
To the best of my ability.
To the best of my ability.
I further swear. That I will respect taxpayers' interests.
That I shall respect taxpayers' interests.
By serving as a faithful protector.
By serving as a faithful protector.
Of the school district's assets.
Of the school district's assets.
I shall encourage and respect.
I shall encourage and respect.
The free expression and opinion.
The free expression and opinion.
By my fellow board members.
By my fellow board members.
And others who seek a hearing.
And others who seek a hearing.
Before the board.
Before the board.
While respecting the privacy of students.
While respecting the privacy of students.
And employees.
And employees.
I shall recognize the board member.
I shall recognize the board member.
As no legal authority.
As no legal authority.
As an individual.
As an individual.
And that decisions made. Can be made only by majority vote.
Can be made only by majority vote.
At a public board meeting.
At a public board meeting.
And I shall abide by majority decisions.
And I shall abide by majority decisions.
Of the board. While retaining the right to seek changes.
While retaining the right to seek changes.
In such decisions. Through ethical and constructive channels.
Through ethical and constructive channels.
I shall strive to make decisions.
I shall strive to make decisions.
That are in the student's best interest.
That are in the student's best interest.
And will help all students.
And will help all students.
Regardless of race.
Regardless of race.
Religion. Sex. National origin. Citizenship. Marital status. Physical or mental handicap. Or sexual orientation. Achieve their academic potential. And acquire a lifelong love of learning. Thank you. I was going to say, you guys managed to keep them, but not all of them. Some of them got away. Okay. Board of Education adjournment, signed dies, or motion to adjourn? So moved. Lays, second Pelham. Questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Lees.
Aye.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Owen?
Aye. Lee.
Aye.
Childers. Is it Kraft Childers? I'm
No,
sorry.
it's actually aye. It's a motion to adjourn, signed die.
Oh. Aye.
Aye.
McGrath. Aye. Heller. Aye. Sullivan.
And of course, if you didn't want to proceed to the next order, you could have voted no. Aye, motion carries unanimously. But that would have thrown Audrey's time off the evening. Okay, so we go on to reorganization of the school board. We call the meeting to order at 7:51 p.m. And we start with the roll call of the board.
McGrath, here. Lee,
Here.
Owen, here. Heller, here. Childers, here. Sullivan.
Here.
Lees.
Here.
Okay, so the
Feels
first,
like a normal meeting to me.
Childers, Childers.
first thing we proceed with is the appointment of temporary officers. Is there a motion to nominate Donna Keller to be president pro tem? McGrath, second Owen. Any objection? No. Any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Lee. McGrath. Heller. Owen. Aye. Lees.
Aye.
Childers. Aye. Sullivan.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Donna? No. Okay.
I get this job because I'm the longest serving member currently on the board. So we shall proceed with, this is our evening to reorganize our board office. Secretary Cronin. Oh,
We move that Jenny Edwards be appointed secretary pro tem.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We will begin with the office of the president. We will do the nomination for that.
Make a motion to nominate Margaret McGrath, president of the Board of Education, to do so.
McGrath. Sorry. Owen. Aye. Heller.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Aye.
Lee. Childers. Aye. And Lees.
Aye. And McGrath.
McGrath.
I make a motion to nominate Eric Lees as the
Lees.
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Owen.
No.
McGrath.
No.
Heller.
No.
Sullivan.
No. Make a motion to nominate Donna Keller to serve as vice president.
Second. McGrath. Aye. Owen. Aye. Heller. Lees.
No.
Childers. Aye. And Lee.
Sullivan, aye.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, it's been 3 years. Make a motion to appoint Jenny Edwards as secretary of the Board of
I
Education.
second.
McGrath. Aye. Lee.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
Owen. Aye. Heller. Sullivan.
Aye. I think at this point in time, Margaret, it would be appropriate for you
I present
to pack up your stuff.
with the I'm here.
Next order of business is the calendar of Board of Education meetings for the 2013-2014 year.
We have a motion to approve the calendar as presented. Second.
Any comments? Take the roll, please. Lees.
Aye.
Childers. Aye. Owen. Aye. Heller. Sullivan.
Aye.
McGrath. Aye. Lee.
With the absence of Mary Khalil, I make a motion to table monthly status finances. An information item, and there's something Mary.
And it's, the information's in your packet. Mary has it attached for that.
So the motion that you're making is that we don't receive the information at this point in time?
My motion is that we don't refer anybody else to turn on comment. The information that we're receiving. That Mary generally makes a report.
Madam President, on point of order, I don't think I heard a second.
Second. Second. Will she, any comments? Yeah. Will she, talk about it?
You never talk about the next meeting. I mean, the thing about putting out finance reports is they tend to be cumulative, so, yes, I think she's missed the previous one, she's generally thought of.
Right, she might want to highlight something.
I'll try to have her send some notes out.
This being the third quarter, I'd like to see she makes comments.
Could you please explain what we're not voting for?
We're voting not to have someone else comment on the status of the finances as of the end of the third quarter. And that Mary Khalil usually presents the status update, is not present at the meeting.
So what would be, if Mary was here, she'd report and then we'd vote on her report?
No, we would just receive the
I'm
report.
asking the director.
We would just receive the report, there is no voting on the report.
Oh, so you're saying we shouldn't discuss it?
Well, there won't be anybody here to present the results, or to discuss the highlights of the results, so we will receive that report.
Thank you.
And there's a motion, we don't need a motion, yeah, okay. Instructional services, textbooks, Barb? Sure.
On the exciting topic of new textbook adoption proposals, we have under your tab some information about the texts, many of which are on the table behind us here, that will be here for you to look at or review this month, and also next month we will bring them back hopefully for approval. There's different categories of new textbooks for you to hopefully adopt. There's some that are brand new for trial purposes. There's some that have been trialed for a year and now are being proposed for full adoption based on the results in the various departments. There are some that are listed here as some of the ebooks that we're hoping to bring in with the new Chromebook initiative for 13 and 14. And I will also point out to you that you should have in your packet of materials a lay-down piece that we put for you, which are actual links to ebooks that are going to be texts that we're hoping that you'll adopt, so that if you want to go online and actually look at what they appear to you in a digital format, you have passwords and access codes here. This is kind of our new jump into the 21st century, looking at textbooks online in this way. And then the last category are books that are related to our Expert 21 program, which is a program and a curriculum that is used at Maine East, and they are recognizing that their students need a series of reading materials that are more challenging than the level 2 reading list, so we're presenting this list to you as well tonight. For each of these textbooks, you'll find information about the costs, about their get into the detail in the report, a little bit of a summary of what the materials are. We've had teachers from each department, as well as building administrators scrutinize the materials, look at them in terms of are there any objectionable passages, what's the match between the reading level and the level of students who are using them, and also to consider when was the last time we changed the book, and does this meet the needs of the current curriculum as we see coming in with CART assessment of Common Core. So there's a lot of material here for you to look at and review, and in the next coming weeks, if you have questions, as you look at the actual textbooks, you can certainly forward those to me and I'll get answers to you from the building. But we'll be bringing these back to you next month for your approval. So new textbook approval process is a 2-month process. The first is we look at and review, and the second is hopefully we bring them back to you for a vote. Once your vote is received, then we can get our bookstores ordering those materials and get our book sales organized for the coming school year.
I just have a question, Barbara. Because we're going to the Chromebooks for next year,
Right.
we've got a lot of ebooks on there.
Yes, we do.
Just a, general kind of question about that. Were most of these ebooks used in the past that are now available that way, or are they first-time books that we'll be using?
I would say both of those
Okay.
are true. We looked really hard at freshman and sophomore level texts to see if there were choices that would be digital, because that is where we're going to be bringing in the Chromebooks. But if there were some for upper level, we might have looked at that. Sometimes it just made sense, in terms of if it was a state loan textbook that we were going to have to replace anyway, maybe we would go digital and save everyone some money at this point in time. It was kind of on an individual basis, but the majority of them, I would say, are probably for freshman and sophomore year. We are also going to provide parents, where we can, with information about where they can get books digitally, whether or not we are adapting it in the digital format or not.
But the evaluation of the ebooks has been the same as the evaluation that would occur on the regular?
Yes. With the added criteria that we would look at its digital aspects as well.
Question 2013, what percentage of the textbooks are going to be used for Chromebooks, and what percentage will we still continue as a regular hard books?
You know what, I haven't made that calculation, but we could certainly do that for you, provided two Friday notes.
50-50 or 1/3, 2/3, or?
I'm not sure.
It also depends greatly on the student schedule.
Yeah.
So, that will fluctuate greatly depending on what the course is.
What we can do is we can take a student's actual schedule, in the coming weeks here, and we can do a student backpack listing for you, some case studies, and show you maybe 5 different students, with different kinds of class schedules, and show you how it panned out. Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Next item is,
You've got mail.
FOIA request. Ken?
Six requests this month, all have either been processed or are in process now.
Question? Could you please review the nature of those requests?
They're not in there. All I have is the numbers.
Are you familiar with any of them, or is there
Yes.
anyone here that could share with the board what the types of requests are that we're
The
receiving?
majority of them this month are related to follow-up from Sun Times on the hazing. The majority were that. I think we had one for insurance. Dave Berry can tell you, I think the majority of them have been hazing requests.
Could I request that we have a more detailed summary come to the board at the monthly meeting?
Sure.
So we can understand what types of information the public is asking about.
Dr. Wallace, can they be sent electronically, or is it always paper form?
They're most often electronic.
So it makes it a little bit less cumbersome?
You're talking about the requests that we get, I see.
No, I'm talking about the replies.
Oh, yes, generally they're electronic.
I know that just slows you down too much.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions on FOIA requests? Substitute rate of pay, I know Mary is not here. Can you speak to, or is there anyone here that can
Yes.
speak to that? So
Is Greg Jeets?
no.
It's senior night for his daughter.
Worked out, we need some extra room at the tables.
What number is that?
9. I thought if you have your electronic book, go to page 124.
Okay, what we have discovered, a few years ago, we cut our rate of pay for substitute teachers. We were over the average in the area. And so what we have discovered in the interim in the 3 years since, though, is we are no longer in that position and having a little bit harder time now recruiting substitute teachers. So Greg is suggesting some modifications to our substitute rates to make us a little bit more competitive.
And we are having trouble recruiting, is that's the,
Yeah.
any questions about these substitutes?
It's 95 for an out-of-district person right now. Yeah, it's in tab 9.
Oh, good then.
Yeah.
Other questions? The next item is the calendar for next year. Just for next year? This year? Okay, the 3 emergency days with the flooding.
Yeah, we had to send our amended calendar into North Cook to be approved.
Okay. Any questions?
It's close for 3 days?
We ended up with 1 snow and two of the, for the flood. We closed on that Thursday,
Okay.
Friday.
Just 2 for the flood.
Just 2 for the flood.
Okay. Item 10, is there no more questions? That the resolution, that the Board of Education of Maine Township High School District 207 adopt a resolution expressing appreciation and commendation for the services of Eldon Burke as a member of the Board of Education.
So moved.
Bays, Sullivan. Any discussion?
I would like to thank Eldon for his service. Frankly, the compliment I'm giving him will be applicable to both intelligence and integrity. He describes the two of them. And he's been an honor to serve with you and have you serve with this board. So I thank you.
I also just want to say thank you to both of you. I came in, as you know, as filling a vacancy, and it isn't always easy to do that, and both of you made me feel very comfortable and helped me. So thank you very much, and I wish both of you well.
I'd like to read the text of the resolution. Whereas Mr. Eldon Burke was elected to the Board of Education in April 2009 and thereby served 4 years during one term, Mr. Burke has given generously of his time and talents to board activities, and whereas Mr. Eldon Burke has served as a member of the Employee Relations, Community Relations, Education, Finance, and Building and Grounds Committee, and District 207 Educational Foundation and School-Based Health Center, and whereas Mr. Eldon Burke is leaving the Board of Education, now therefore be it resolved that the members of the Board of Education of Maine Township District High School 207 express sincere appreciation and gratitude to Mr. Eldon Burke and recognize and commend him for his contributions to good school community relations, his insight and guidance related to instructional efforts to improve student performance, his concern for the welfare of staff, students, and families, and his tireless efforts to promote and recognize student achievement at each of the high schools.
We'll call on that. Lays. Childers. McGrath. Lee. Heller. Sullivan. Owen.
Aye. And a recommendation, next recommendation, that the Board of Education of Maine Township High School District 207 adopt the resolution expressing appreciation and commendation for the services of Edward Miller as a member of the Board of Education. Sullivan and Heller. Comments?
Well, Ed and I were elected together in 2001 and actually spent about 6 months sitting in those 2 chairs that Ed and Eldon are in right there because the election shift many years ago. But I really appreciated serving with you, Ed, over the past dozen years and getting to know you and sitting next to you for the last couple of years. And I wish you luck and thank you for all the service and you as well, Eldon. Actually, Eldon, more years, although not as many years on the board, but more years to 207. Great job. Thank you very much. I wish you both well in your future endeavors.
with the resolution. Whereas Mr. Edward Miller was elected to the Board of Education in April 2001 and re-elected in April 2005 and April 2009, thereby serving 12 years during 3 terms. Mr. Miller has generously given of his time and talents to the board activities. And whereas Mr. Edward Miller has provided able leadership in his capacity as President of the Board of Education from April 2003 to April 2005, and from April 2009 to April 2010, and served as a member of the Policy, Employee Relations, Community Relations, Education, Insurance, and Building and Grounds Committees. And whereas Mr. Edward Miller is leaving the Board of Education, now therefore be it resolved that the members of the Board of Education of Maine Township High School District 207 express sincere appreciation and gratitude to Mr. Edward Miller and recognize and commend him for his contributions to good school community relations, his insight and guidance related to instructional efforts to improve student performance, his concern for the welfare of staff, students, and families, and his tireless efforts to promote and recognize student achievement at each of the high schools. Why don't we take a roll call? Okay.
Lee?
Aye.
Lays?
Aye.
Childers?
Aye.
Owen?
Aye.
Heller? Sullivan? McGrath?
Aye.
Very nice, thank you, everybody.
Next item of business is the consent agenda. Is there anything that anyone would like to separate from the general vote on the consent agenda? We have a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved, second.
I have a question. You got your motion in your
Yeah, got motion and second, yes.
Is it a policy that we vote to accept who we get money from?
Yes, it is.
So there could be a situation where a certain organization could offer to give money and we would have the option of declining that gift.
That is true. Are there any comments about
Congratulations, Brooke.
anything on the consent agenda? No? Okay, we have a motion, it's been moved and seconded, no comments, please take the,
Owen? Aye. Lays?
Aye.
Childers?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Sullivan? Heller? McGrath?
aye. Item 12 is the approval of bids and awarding contracts. Motion on item 12.
So moved. Second.
Second. Any questions or comments?
Question on the Athletico termination of agreement language. I know Mary's not here, neither is Greg. So any idea what the estimated terms of this non-performance in the contract for Athletico?
I think we have to no termination fee.
This is a 5-year term.
This is probably the same contract we wrote with that Athletico for a while.
And I can tell you, we have to roll our Athletico contract as well, but we also have a 90-day out clause on notification package. So I know it's possible.
Do we want to pull this from the motion to
That will the Athletico.
When does the current Athletico contract run from?
It's not listed. The reference to it isn't as of the date of execution. It's when this starts.
Since Mary Kalu isn't here to discuss it with us, I think we should hold off on what we, not vote on this tonight.
Second. Jenny? Lees?
Aye.
Childers?
Aye.
Heller? Owen?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Sullivan?
My only hesitation is if we find that that leaves us without a trainer representative for the Athletico, we should consider reconvening the board in special session in order to make sure we have it covered. I go aye.
Okay. So noted, we should see if we can get some comments back from Mary and for short order.
Actually, a question on this bids and award of contracts, just a quick question. Is it our policy to get minimum like 2 or 3 minimum bids on every item, correct?
Yes.
And then we do list, so some of them we do list them too, right? That's good. Along with that line, we'll be able to look into or see if there are minority business enterprise or women-owned business contractors, are we able to kind of distribution that or try to encourage them to participate? How does that work?
We would have to ask Mary how that works.
Oh.
So, would you make a note of that, Ken, for Mary? Okay. Are there any questions about the A and B bus service or the driver's education simulators?
Question on driver education simulators. Do we have other simulators in every major schools, schools? Roughly how many? 2, 3, 5? Or?
Principals can answer that better. How many
How many
simulators?
simulators per building?
Each school, right? Roughly.
Yeah, I was gonna say about 8 total, and they're original to the building in the west.
They're antique. They are.
Remodeled.
It reminded me of my dad's 77 Buick.
You have the curriculum.
They still work off of the.
Is that how Bell got to the?
Right. But you know, the old film strip, not the film strips, the 8mm projectors, they still use those, we have to still use the film strips from there, so.
I think it's time to. This was, finance, just so we have a discussion. Yeah, so this was recommended by finance. Are there any other questions?
Do you need a second then if it comes out to me?
We generally have one.
Customarily,
Okay, but Robert's rules, you don't need it, but you wanna do it that way?
That's what we do.
Did someone make a motion?
It's motion and seconded.
Oh, then I call the question.
Lee, Sullivan, yeah.
I call the question.
Okay. Take a roll, please. Owen? Aye. Childers?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Heller? Lees?
Aye.
Sullivan?
Aye.
McGrath? Okay, item 13, school fees for 2013-14.
So moved.
Sullivan, Lees. Any questions, comments?
The school fees were reviewed by the finance committee and recommended this proposal for administration.
Any other questions, comments? Not, take a roll, please. Childers?
Aye.
Owen? Aye. Sullivan? Lee? Heller? Lees?
Aye.
McGrath? Aye. Okay, item 14, technology budget. That the Board of Education approved the 2013-14 technology budget as recommended by the Finance Committee. Details are in the book. The motion?
I so move.
Childers, Sullivan. Any questions, comments?
I have a question.
On training, it looks like there's about $50,000 in training. Is that training that's going to go over what period of time? Yes, I'm
Over the entire course of the school year.
okay. Starting in the summer?
Yeah, there'll be some things that start up right after the school year rolls over in July 1st. And then stuff that goes through the entire school.
Will most of it be through? Is that where?
No, it's a mix of bringing in consultants and sending people to conferences, technology-based training, a lot of training for our staff and teachers.
And it is covering pretty much all the freshmen and sophomore teachers will be.
No, well, that varies, but it covers all our teachers. We're running things for all of our staff all year long.
Okay. But I'm thinking on the Chromebooks now.
Yeah,
A
we
lot
have
of this is-
somewhere around 25 of our teachers that are going over to Leiden for a 3-day training. Leiden's been one-to-one with Chromebooks for the last year. They're going over there in July to work with their teachers. But we have a variety of different things going on.
Any other questions, comments? Not, take the roll, please.
Lace.
Aye.
Sullivan. Owen. Childers. Lee.
Aye.
Keller. McGrath.
Aye. Okay, next item 15, summer hours for special education and ESL department chairs. That the Board of Education approve as annually requested a maximum of 20 hours each for the 3 special education department chairs and 20 hours each for the 2 ESL department chairs with the summer curriculum rate of pay to complete post and pre-school school year activities. The hours be approved by the building principal, superintendent, or superintendent's designee. Ken?
We do this annually. We have students, both with IEPs and also English language learners who move into the district, and sometimes they receive testing in the summer so that we can let them start school on time and be appropriately placed. So we do this each year.
Any questions, comments?
Is there a motion?
No.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Is this essential, Ken?
Yeah, we talk about this every year, but because of the needs of the students when they come in, it's used on an as-needed basis. So if you get a student that comes in and requires testing, this gives them some hours to be able to come in and do some of the testing. It's for 2 populations specifically.
And about how many, against the maximum that was approved last year, were utilized roughly?
I couldn't tell you that, Eric, I'm not sure.
More or less than half?
I couldn't tell you. I don't do that, so I couldn't tell you.
I would need to look into it further and get back to you, being new this year. But, time is needed to organize the services and sometimes assess those.
I understand, I was just curious.
Yeah, we can find out. Yeah, we can find out.
Okay.
I want to say, Eric, the hours are sort of based on what's been the typical type of average. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, some years in the past, we even reduced them. They used to really have more hours than that, so we reduced it and tried to do it on an as-needed only. So that kind of an on-demand, if we had kids showing up, that had somebody that could come in and not just have more hours than what was needed.
Thank you.
Yes?
Question on what number for students to participate or apply for the special education or summertime ESL classes, summertime? How's the
For students with special education in particular, there is what's called extended school year. ESY is one of the terms. And so if a student has an IEP that requires work in the summertime, the case conference committee makes those decisions. And so then we're responsible for providing, whatever appropriate summer extended work is needed. ESL, it varies a little bit. I don't think we have as much extended ESL work in the summertime. I don't believe. I know we do for our students with IEP.
Jim, one of the reports in that bound copy that we gave you at the education committee, or at the orientation meeting for you, is a summer school report. It has all the enrollment numbers for ESL courses, for ESY, for special ed. So you'll be able to find those counts there. And if you have trouble with that, just let me know, and I'll show you exactly that.
There are some courses. There are some courses that are taught.
Any more discussion on summer hours for special ed and ESL department chairs. Jenny, take a roll, please.
Lees.
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Owen.
Aye.
Heller. Sullivan.
Aye. Okay, item 16, INRF, appointment of authorized agent, that the Board of Education approve the appointment of Ms. Mary Phillips as the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund authorized agent for Maine Township High School District 207, and authorize the Secretary of the Board of Education to execute the appropriate document. Is there a motion? Sullivan. Any questions? Comments? Take a roll, please.
Owen. Aye. Sullivan. Childers.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
Heller. Lee. McGrath.
Aye. Item 17, that wellness program, recommendation that the Board of Education approve the wellness program for 2013-14 for on-site screenings with Optum Health during the final exam days in June 2013 at a cost of approximately $80 per screening, paid for by the Board of Education through early retirement reimbursement program funds. Is there a motion? Ladies? Sullivan. Any questions or comments?
Who is this for?
Employees?
Employees, this was approved by the insurance committee now. Optum is a new name. We've done this with Wellness Inc. for a number of years. I think Optum has bought them out. So it's incentive for people to get in and do annual screenings at low cost.
Okay.
And so,
Thank you.
This is for mandatory for every employee?
it isn't mandatory. It isn't mandatory, but I think we still have an incentive on the premiums. We have an incentive, Jen, on the premium, so if you go through this, there's a little bit of premium reduction in place.
So the price is really reasonable?
Yes, yes. So, and there are other pieces to the screening that you can add on. It's kind of a menu of choices, but that's like the basic screening.
It's great to see that.
Any other questions, comments? Roll, please.
Heller. Owen. Aye. Lee.
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Aye.
McGrath.
Aye. Item 18, maintenance grant, that the Board of Education approve the 2013 school maintenance project grant in the amount of $50,000 for Maine West roof repairs.
So moved.
Sullivan, Miller, questions or comments?
Page 269 on the computer.
Questions? Public. Roll, please.
Heller. Lees. Sullivan. Lee. Childers. Owen. McGrath.
Aye. Next item is calendar items. Do you have any, I don't think we have any additions. Primarily, we have the commencement, probably have Memorial Day, no school, and then the commencement's the first weekend in June. Ken, anything else?
I think those are the big things. I don't think we have any more special.
Don't you have 2 extra days or 1 extra day to add?
No, we have built-in days in our calendar for that.
Question on commencement, does board get invited and do we able to attend one of the
Yes.
commencement and speak on behalf?
Okay, next, communications. Are there any public comments? Next, what do we have for today? We have a motion to go into closed session for review of closed session minutes, appointment, employment, compensation, performance, discipline, or dismissal of employees, probable, imminent, or pending litigation. Roll, please.
Lees.
Aye.
Childers. Heller. Lee. Owen. Sullivan. McGrath.
Aye. Okay, we are 8:30 and we are in